Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me Swastika, and today we will be going through with the current affairs for July 27, 2020. So before we move on, I'll just tell you a little about myself. I have done my masters in political science from Jawaharlal Nehru University. I have done my BA honors in political science from Delhi University, and in case you like my content, please don't forget to press the subscribe button, that's the red button at the bottom of the video screen. So as usual, the format for discussing the news remains that first we would be going through the short news and objective type questions that can be asked from it. And after that, we would be moving on to the subjective aspects of things, which we will mostly be discussing from the editorial and the op-editorial page. So, in short news, today we see that the foreign direct investment policy for India and its neighbors is seeing a change. Because of it, 200 projects are currently being stalled. All proposals from China or Chinese investors, even in non-critical sectors, are to get prior approval and clearance by Ministry of Home Affairs. The objective of the National Security Clearance is to evaluate potential threats in proposals received. So instead of just there being a direct investment, it first has to get a prior approval and clearance. So the Department of Promotion and Trade, Industry and Internal Trade has notified the new FDI policy, which said an entity of a country which shares land borders with India or where the beneficial owner of an investment into India is situated in or is a citizen of any such country can invest only under the government route. So there is no direct route, indirect route, but just the government route for a country which shares its border with India. The move is aimed at curbing opportunistic takeovers or acquisitions of Indian companies due to the current COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously, this makes sense. Investors from the countries that are not covered by FDI new policy only have to inform Reserve Bank of India after the completion of the transaction rather than a prior clearance from an administrative machinery. So, in the next piece of news, we see that there is a little discussed on NIRF. So, NIRF is an annual report card on the performance of the higher education institutions. It was launched in 2015, outlined a methodology to rank institutions across the country. So, basically, it takes into account 5 parameters. First is teaching, learning, and resources. TLR research, and second is professional practice, third is graduation outcome, fourth is outreach and inclusivity, and fifth is perception. For institutions to improve their ranking, they should ensure certain percent enrollment of students, adequate experience, and qualified faculty, with the faculty-student ratio of 1:15, enrollment of students from other states and countries, increased number of women students and faculty, scholarships, more quality research publications, and funded research projects. So NRF, basically what we have to remember is has 5 parameters. One is teaching and learning resources, professional practice, graduation outcome, outreach and inclusivity, and of course the public perception. In the short news again, today we see that Russian Navy will soon get hypersonic nuclear weapons. These weapons would include Poseidon underwater nuclear drone designed to be carried out by submarines and the Zircon hypersonic cruise missile which can be deployed on surface ships. So this is pretty cool that they are getting hypersonic nuclear weapons. Hypersonic obviously means above the speed of sound, and the weapons would include a Poseidon underwater nuclear drone designed to be carried by submarines and the Zircon hypersonic cruise missile. So it's basically going to include a nuclear underwater drone which is going to be carried out by submarines and the Zircon hypersonic cruise missile. So in the subjective part of the newspaper, this was mostly from the editorial page and the op editorial page, and this is the article at the bottom. Actually, there wasn't a lot important in the newspaper. You can go through the entire Prashant Bhushan thing if you want to, but I just read through it once and I was like, I don't need to explain it because it mostly makes sense. So anyway, how to achieve sustainable development goals. There was that article on that at the bottom. So we have 17 sustainable development goals which we have to achieve by 2030. They were basically established in 2015 and they include goals like no poverty, zero hunger, focus on health, focus on education. Then it also talks about gender equality. Then obviously there is water and sanitation. After water and sanitation, emphasis is being put on developing energy infrastructure. After all of comes after water, sanitation, and energy infrastructure comes work and how people can get work and the ways around that. After that comes infrastructure development, the importance of developing infrastructure and having inclusive spaces. After that, there is a focus on investments that need to be done. Then there is the next goal is going to be about developing sustainable cities. After that, we have also talked about conservation. The 13th Sustainable Development Goal talks about climate change and climate action. And the last ones deal with land below water, just land on land and partnership in sustainable goals. So these are the 17 sustainable goals. I just set the entire list, and other than that, we have also discussed them before separately. The virtual high-level political forum on sustainable development recently convened governments and stakeholders on the imperatives to build better, while keeping an eye out on global goals. In the aftermath of the pandemic, the governments are faced with an unprecedented policy and fiscal choices. The Sustainable Development Goals are a commitment to eradicate poverty by 2030. The first sustainable goal is zero poverty by 2030, and this commitment to eradicate poverty by 2030 should become a beacon in these rough times. Many issues are there, but solutions are in sight. Many countries have. So what he is basically saying is that this pandemic has given us a rare opportunity to change policy and policy formulation in such a way that sustainable development goals can actually be implemented and our commitment to them can actually be valued by 2030. So the idea is to extend universal healthcare as many countries are doing it, strengthen social production systems, innovating to help most disadvantaged access financing and small and medium enterprises credit. Responses to COVID must be centered around people, empowering them and advancing equality. So there is a need of revolution in policy, mindset and practice. This is what it basically talks about. Policy, mindset, policy, practice, all of that needs to be changed drastically so that the post-COVID world can honor the commitments of the Sustainable Development Goals. So South Korea has basically introduced a new deal which has two pillars, digitization and decarbonization. India should also do something like this. Hopefully we will do something like this soon. Many Pacific countries are supporting blue recovery in terms of having sustainable management in fisheries and so on and so forth. Countries like China are now focusing on like renewable energy and sources more than anything. So this was the basic crux of the article. I hope you guys liked it, and in case you did, in case you do like my content, please don't forget to press the subscribe button. That's the red button at the bottom of the screen, and you can also connect with me on my Instagram. That's rhombic polar cats. Thank you for listening.